And we're back. Thank you for joining me at the Critics Clinic for all prescriptions, things, movie, and entertainment. As always, click the button below to subscribe, like, comment on this video, other videos. I'm going to make this a quick video. I've been hearing a lot about the White Lotus season finale. I did, in fact, watch it. This is going to be a reaction video, so this isn't going to be really one about a synopsis of the show or what happened in the final episode. I'm assuming you know kind of the premise of the show because you're coming here for a reaction, I hope. I would say there were going to be some spoilers just to let you know, but this whole thing's going to be a spoiler. It's just my reaction. So obviously just a quick little rundown premise. The show it's like an anthology show. Each season it has new characters. There's a few recurring characters like Jennifer Coolidge in the first 2 seasons. And then so we kind of go from there to kind of see each season. They're at a new resort. They were in Hawaii and then Italy. And the current one, they're in Thailand. And so that's kind of how the show, each season, it starts out with someone dying. You don't know who it is. And the whole season you're trying to figure out a whodunit type situation. This season's finale was not what I needed. I am sorry to disappoint. It was a huge letdown. Starting from the beginning, I would have to say this is the first season that did not captivate me from the very beginning. Usually it's very endearing characters, very interesting. This season started out with just, there's one well-to-do Southern family. There's a group of friends consisting of an actress and like some, well-to-do like housewife moms. There's a guy, you don't know what's going on, and he has his British girlfriend who's much younger than him. There's a couple of other things, but you just don't. And then you have like these really big names. Again, with every season, they always have really big name actors, and you have some big people like K-pop star Lisa from Blackpink in this one, who they didn't really utilize at all, which was crazy because we're there in her home country in Thailand, and I feel like they completely underutilized her, and the fact that she's fluent in the language and in the culture, just, I don't know, she was kind of like a superfluous addition to the role. I know Mike White was saying she was perfect for the role, but she didn't really do much. I would say from just a plot standpoint, wow. It just didn't give me what I needed. I'm going to break it down like I usually do with my movies, but I'm going to make it quick because I was not happy with this, as you can tell. I would say from a cast and crew standpoint, as with any season of The White Lotus, that was incredible. There were some standouts. Parker Posey did amazing. She's been very like Instagrammable, very memeable. She's gone viral with her Southern accent and like her tsunami and Piper no. So she's actually she did a great. Someone being from the South and hearing her, I've ran into so many Southern women, well-to-do, that act just like her. So she hit the nail on the head. I do think she'll probably get an Emmy nod. Carrie Coons. Up until the end, that friendship group was so bland. I'll get to that in the plot. But she had one specific moment where it was her giving like her monologue. It was excellent. It's probably one of the best monologues I've seen in TV in recent history about her friendship with these two people. And I'll get to that in the plot. That was incredible. She will likely get an Emmy nod for that as well. Everyone carried their weight in terms of the acting. It's just you can only do so much with a lackluster plot. So I would say from that standpoint, 2 out of 2. The cast and crew was amazing, as it usually is in The White Lotus. The plot was such a letdown. Really nothing happened. There was no ending to anything because you open up the show with someone floating in the water trying to figure out who it is. And the son, Zion, Natasha Rothwell, who came from the other White Lotus to come here and train, you're assuming or you're concerned that it's her that's dead because the son is going through trying to find his mom and see if she's dead or not because the show opens with gunshots. Nothing was really ended at the end. The family, the well-to-do Southern family, Parker Posey's family, the husband finally confronts the family as they're leaving and says things are going to change because the whole time he's been hiding that his business is going under. And then there's just no resolution. No one confronts him about it. Nothing. Again, with the Lisa's character and her love interest, Gaddick, they don't really close that up either. And then with Gaddick's character, it was weird because he had this whole dilemma with the Buddha of like, I don't want to tell anyone and ruin their lives, but he was fine shooting someone. But then he ends up not telling on the Russian guy who was the one who stole from the resort in the first place. It was just such a weird dilemma that didn't make sense. You're okay to kill someone, but you're not okay to tell on someone who stole from the facility that you work at and get them in trouble. It was ridiculous, honestly. Again, just a lot of the plot didn't make sense. There was really no resolution. The only people that got resolution was Natasha Rothschild's character because she got $5 million and was able to escape. We were very happy about that. She lived. Her and her son left. That was the only real resolution. No one else really got an ending. I mean, the friendship group, they got shot at and they left and they made amends, but I don't know. I just feel like the plot was so lacking in the end. It was so boring and nothing happened, which is with the first two seasons. It was actually incredible. It was captivating. You couldn't wait to watch every episode. The finales were great, specifically the Jennifer Coolidge season where she dies in the end. This one was nothing like that at all. I almost think it would have been better if the Southern family, Jason Isaacs' character, had actually tried. He was trying to kill his family at one point. He was trying to poison them. Then he knocks the drink out of their hands. Honestly, I wish they'd gone through with it, or at least let his son die, who tried to drink that solution later. But then he kind of died and came back to life without any CPR, which I thought was odd. But that's neither here nor there. It's not a medical show. But I would say from that standpoint, it was just such a lackluster ending for that family, for the friend group, for Lisa and Gaddick, for pretty much everyone except Natasha Rothwell's character. The plot was just so lackluster and boring. I'd have to say from that standpoint, I'm giving it a 0 out of 2. I would say from the filming and location and production, it was beautiful. It was in Thailand, so I can't fault that. It was a 2 out of 2. The music itself, for me, was also a letdown. They changed the theme song. Even the musical composer actually left the show for the next season because there were disagreements creatively between him and Mike White, the creator of the show. And I can see why. This season was a stinker. I would leave the show too if I were working with it after reading the script. It was just not good. The plot was not there. Great acting. I would give it a 0 out of 2 for the music. We're not doing well. In terms of how I felt overall about this show, I think it lulled at the beginning. Towards the middle, like episode 4 or 5, it did pick up, and I did enjoy it. Until the end, actually. There were some really steamy, crazy moments, plot-wise, with like the incestuous brothers of the Southern family, which was so crazy. And you were trying to figure out what the three best friends were going to do. Were they going to stab each other in the back? Again, none of this came to fruition, and it wasn't important. Even the brothers kind of having that incestuous thing didn't matter in the plot, because in the end, they didn't actually even address it. It was so odd. There were just so many things that were left unsaid. I think, how did I enjoy the movie? I would give it a 1 out of 2. I would give this show, apologies. I would give this show a 5 out of 10. I would say save your time and watch the first 2 seasons and do not watch this season. This season is not an indication of how great this show has been with the first 2 seasons. I think Mike White's running out of ideas, and I think maybe the popularity's caught up to him and he's feeling the pressure of trying to create a big show for HBO Max that's just not working with this season. The plot did not tie up any of the loose ends. The show did not end. And there are always little loose ends in every season of The White Lotus, but this particular season, you just had so many unanswered questions. What happens to the family? What happens to the friend group? What happens to Lisa and Gaddick? What happens to Natasha's character? I imagine she'll end up in the next season, of course, but a lot of the other characters, you just don't get any resolution. And a lot of the plot that happens during the season does not matter. Like, it didn't serve any purpose. All the things they were alluding to didn't come to fruition at all. Like, nothing with the friend group stabbing anybody in the back, nothing with the family and the incest stuff, or him trying the suicide stuff, or the business going under. It just didn't serve any purpose. This whole development between Gaddick and Lisa from Blackpink, developing their relationship, again, didn't come to fruition. It was just so many. It was just an incomplete plot, unfortunately. And I think Mike White can do better. I would say this season is a complete skip. This is a DNR. Do not watch this.